Alrighty, evening now. I almost said afternoon, but you can tell by my window how dark it is outside. Good afternoon, and I said it again. Good evening, everyone. This is Ajim Zero here, back with another quick movie review. This one is ironically one of my favorites. I can watch it over and over again. Well, most of the movies I watch it over and over again to look at lighting and composition and all the other stuff, because I am doing a comic book and that's mainly my whole take on it, even when I do my books. So this one is a Righteous Kill. It stars Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, 50 Cent's in it, Donnie Wahlberg, Jon Leguizamo, Rob Dyke, Carla or Julio. And I feel bad about mispronouncing her name because she's a good actress too. She's been in a lot of good movies, like, she's not mainly known, but you've seen her face. I personally know her. She was in the one with Jet Li, American Gangster, Sin City as Marvin's parole officer. She's also a very beautiful woman. I like to see her in an A-list role and see her get recognized. She just has a nice innocence about her. Put it like this: if they were, they already announced who the character was at this recording of me currently recording this. But Magna from the character from The Walking Dead, I can see this actress and Gina Phillips from Jeepers Creepers playing as her. They had that toughness and grittiness about them. But this is a very intriguing story. Mostly because of behind the scenes stuff that they have in the special features that really caught my eye. This is indirectly another story about a dirty cop, but when you follow the story, it's not your typical dirty cop. He's not planting evidence on, or I take that back. He's not planting evidence or killing people, who are technically innocent. They're mostly criminals who they've been caught doing the crime, they've been tried, and they still been let go. And they're even saying this behind the scenes. It is tough for some police officers, to do this, when you, the cop yourself, know that they have did it and you did your job, but the court system didn't do their job and they let a murderer or a rapist go free. And in the movie, it was very, very suspenseful. If you see the trailer, I did a good job of not really giving it away, but at the beginning of the movie, it kind of played with the idea of who had already did it, and it does completely flip it over. And it's a good movie to see, these two gentlemen in. Finally, they have more scenes. They've been hyping it up ever since the movie Heat, and then they had that one scene together in Heat, and then on top of that, they were both in The Godfather, but they were in separate, two different points in the film. They didn't have any scenes together. So that's another thing to take a notice. But I'm finally glad that these are two actors, who had more time. And of course, there's always a bunch of legendary actors who definitely needed to be in a movie together, but they never did it. Personally, Charles Bronson and Chuck Norris were my two who I wanted to see in the movie together. And you can say all the shit you want about me about Chuck, like me liking Chuck Norris. I liked him for what he did in the drama for Walker, Texas Ranger. I really saw beyond the cheesiness. I actually looked at the drama they've written on the show. But that's another topic. But yeah, all the actors and actresses did a very good job, and it really boils down again to like what I said in Train Today. Doing the right thing really, really goes on a stretch. And sometimes it's justified, just like in this case. I'm not going to spoil the movie for you, but, all the killings that were happening. And then the person who did it, well, I am going to spoil this part. It was a police officer. I'm just going to say it. And it was just a still scary moment of they could have flipped at any moment, went after innocent, but what this particular officer said was, I think he vaguely said the best thing that he got out of his life is killing those pricks who got away with their crime, And of course, something is telling me that he wouldn't have. It's not like he wouldn't have walked to the jail cell or eventually killed them if they were in jail. If they were convicted and they served their time, that's what it is, and it sucks because, you know, I said some controversial things, possibly if anyone saw it on Fruitvale Station, about what I said about the whole Trayvon Martin case, and I still stand behind it. You can argue about it all you want to. It's most of these shootings, you know, I don't get caught up in the propaganda on either side of the spectrum. I really look at all the facts because I really do say, you know, besides a gun and a badge, people are just fucked up in general. You know, you don't have to carry one in order to make it justified, you know. So people set you up all the time with cops fucking with you, and that's what happened in the Trayvon Martin case, just a tad bit, you know. Well, let me just say, putting someone in the position to get killed, even though the police had nothing to do with it in the Trayvon Martin case. But, you know, from giant social media presence of how they're swatting people's houses, trying to set them up, Tariq Nasheed, to name it in particular, you know, even though I don't like the dude, that was kind of fucked up. And when I sat there and I thought about it, I was like, okay, you got a black guy in a mansion, and I believe he was only wearing a tank top and his drawers, and he was in there asleep. And I was like, yeah, that is a fucked up formula because, you know, whatever call that was made, you're really setting this man to actually get shot by the police legally. Yeah. And he straight up didn't do anything. He's at his house, asleep. Next thing you know, the SWAT team is running up in his shit. Yeah, so... but going back to this, that was my little political, social banter. It was a couple stories that former homicide detectives had even talked about. If you look at the behind the scenes special featurettes on this, and then on top of that, they even talked about Luis Perez, who they based on Training Day. I was a little bit mad about the reenactment because he was a half black, half Puerto Rican guy, and it was a white dude they put in there, but. You know, I think he had got busted and convicted, and something's telling me this could be a different Luis Perez, but who knows? But he pretty much got busted and convicted. He was with another dirty cop, and they end up shooting a drug kingpin or a drug dealer in his house. They went to go rob him and take his drugs, but he didn't have any. They didn't believe him. They shot him. They shot and killed him. Yeah, because, you know, when they realized they didn't have any drugs, they're like, oh shit, he can go to the police and we can be next, so we gotta kill him. Yeah. So that was really fucked up. Despite of me not liking drug dealers, you know, if he's at home not doing anything, hell, for all we know, the drug dealer could have been out of the dope game after he told them he had got robbed. Someone had beat you to the drugs and the money. Yeah, so that was one messed up story. Another one was it was a guy. It was a police lieutenant. I think he had just transferred to like the Newark, New Jersey area, and he said that one day it was a small little banter between two gang members. It wasn't even guns drawn with each other. It was more like a physical fist fight, and then a cop had came in between and almost had choked one of them out. And then this lieutenant said that he went, or I think he eventually became a lieutenant. When he was telling the story, he was a rookie, I believe. And he said that he went up to go break up the whole scuffle because it was getting out of hand. And then all of a sudden, he's getting choked up from behind, and he's saying he's looking at on the side of the arm, and he noticed it's an NYPD patch, or it's a New Jersey patch. In other words, it was a police officer that was choking him. And, you know, he couldn't even believe it. He tried to talk to the other cops who were there. They didn't want to talk to him. And what he said was intriguing. He's talking about what cops are more afraid of the most, 9 times out of 10, are their own police officers who are corrupt, because you're going to have one that's going to try to expose the corrupt. Are they more afraid of the corrupt cops, or I think of the ones who are going to expose the corruption, or something like that? It was bad paraphrasing, but I keep telling people 9 times out of 10, yeah, even with police officers, if they keep doing that to people, you're gonna run up across somebody who's really having a bad day, and they're not gonna give a shit about you. And yeah, they're gonna do some, what I like to call it, some well, not Saw now, but if you've seen the movie Law Abiding Citizen, it's gonna be some shit like that, you know. So, a little bit exaggerated fiction, but when the system literally fails you like that, and that's your last choice, and he did it in a way that was still not as sane, but he wasn't going up and spraying a place like these people in the mass shootings. Yeah, you gotta be better with your whole decision making process when you convict people. And then the last story was about this one cop. He knew about the dirty people in his department, and I really couldn't remember what had got him to fully like say no. But he was a rookie too, and again, I'm not gonna call him, a pretty much an asshole, because of course he would have been arrested. He wouldn't have been there for the interview. But pretty much, make a long story short, he actually went to the FBI as an undercover dirty cop to get the drop on the other dirty cops in the neighborhood. Yeah, so it was pretty much like the Frank Lucas scenario, except this guy wasn't a drug dealer. He was turning in more of the gangsters than he was. He was turning in more of the cops than he was gangsters. So, it was just like the Frank Lucas case. It was mostly bribery and I want to say racketeering that they got the charges on most of these guys, and it was just unbelievable. And then after hearing about these cases, I officially, already had the pre-connotation of the whole racial profiling, with people, with the police. But even a mutual, well, he is technically my friend, I can actually say that. But we were talking about this, and even he agreed and said this because he was white. Yeah, the white privilege, and even I'm saying this, the white privilege does exist to an extent. To a certain point. But 9 times out of 10, when the police be fucking with white people, it's more of a how can I say it? If you got money or not. Yeah, so if you look like you're poor and rugged, they're gonna fuck with you a little bit more because they know they can get a quick quota and then do some fucked up shit to you on top of that. And I'm saying is there are certain specifics that fit a certain narrative or a reason to get you arrested. Now, I'm not denying the fact that the police don't racially profile people, because I told you what happened with my scenario, but I don't know if this dude racially profiled me. Personally, at that moment, I didn't care. I was coming home from work, and I was more thinking about getting in bed and shit. And then him fucking with me just made my night a little bit worse, or it could have been worse. But he wasn't asking stupid, dumb, contradictory questions to me. Well, it was a mixed bag of what that guy did. I really don't like to talk about it that much because it is fucking annoying. But they even did it a story that my coworker, or no, my manager had even told me. He's white, but he came from Detroit, so you know how it is out there. So pretty much with his story, he said that what was it? Somebody like earlier in the school morning had ran. You know how when the bus pulls out the whole stop, don't cross. What the cop said was that he had ran, and of course that's against the law. Even down here now they got cameras on the bus. I don't know how it is in Detroit. So somebody had copied the license plate number and they thought it was him, and then come to find out it wasn't him. He said he's been there asleep the entire time, and it sucks that his wife wasn't there. She had left early to go to work. So they were going back and forth, and then he had stated a point. Yeah, if I left, why is there a blanket of snow on my truck? And then at first I didn't get it, but then I thought about it because my imagination wasn't really there. But winters down here in Georgia, or if people who have experienced snow, you've seen what snow looks like on the top of somebody's car if it's been sitting out there for a good amount of time. Like once it starts to collect, And then the cop was like, oh yeah, that is a good point, and he just left them alone. So, it's situations like that. I do think about what would have happened if this guy, if it was the same scenario, if he was black or Latino. And out in California, this shit is even worse. I heard allegedly now with the whole ICE, team fucking up people and shit, that this one Latino male, he got injured in like a car wreck, and instead of giving him medical attention, they were really more concerned about him being legal or not. And I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, if that man would have died, yeah, I didn't look at the whole situation of him being hurt. I think I saw a thumbnail on the Facebook thing. Of course, it could have been a clickbaity thing, but I've heard from other sources that, yeah, they're running up in people's houses who aren't illegal. Yeah, but I don't know how fabricated that story is. But yeah, it just seems far fetched. But I was sitting there thinking, if that man would have died and that scenario was real, yeah, then I personally would have been quickly to put that out there. Yeah, or many other people, I would have shared it all over my Facebook, and like that's really fucked up, But this movie was pretty good. It really asks a lot of good questions on morality, and like I said, all those cocktails I had just told you. It's just unbelievable how the rich and powerful really believe they can't be touched. And even in the movie they were saying everybody sees the badge, or again, I'm bad paraphrasing, but everybody sees the badge, but everybody respects the gun. Yeah, or something like that, and that's completely true. So the good thing about me, I'm not really afraid of police. I know the little games that they be playing. I have family members. What was it? My godmother's husband. He's a police officer. He was telling me some certain things that they be doing, and it's really fucked up. And I know of two other detectives. Talking to them in homicide and all that other stuff. It's just a very weird, fucked up world. And the good thing about some of these cop movies and like Law and Order, they do a really good job in capturing, the realism of the case. But sometimes I really do think it's a tad bit opinionated and biased, especially with the Law and Order Gamergate episode and the anime one. And I didn't see the anime one, but I saw the Gamergate one, and it was completely a tad bit fucked up. Yeah. I think it was loosely based on the real Gamergate situation. But they just portrayed all male gamers as pretty much assholes, when there are some female gamers who are slight assholes, but I'm not getting to the whole thing. We could talk about it later. That's pretty much all I have to say. I'm pretty much going in circles now, and running the time scale a little bit. So I will see you guys in the next movie. Peace.